If someone were to ask me what open ZMF would I try first, I'd always hand them the Auteur Classic. Alright, so this video is going to be about the release of the Auteur Classic. It is the original open ZMF headphone, came out with in 2017, was the Auteur. It looks like October 2017, it got released in November. That is when we released the first open-backed dynamic ZMF with the biocellulose drivers. Kind of unique in that it has high impedance biocellulose drivers in an open design. So the reason I always say the one ZMF to own if you're gonna start out and haven't owned a ZMF before is the Auteur Classic, is because it has that kind of linear frequency response while still having everything that makes ZMF, the kind of lush mids, the impactful bass, you know, the present but not sharp treble that's kind of easygoing. So you're here, you're wondering why the Auteur Classic is coming out, replacing the old original Auteur, and the reason is because we ran out of drivers, really. And because I've learned a lot in the last, 4.5 years since I came out with the original Auteur. I wanted to make the membrane a little less stiff so it could be a little more nodal. I wanted to increase the magnetic strength just a little bit. And I also wanted to, use the Atrium damping system that we came up for the Atrium to allow me to move the driver just a little further away from the ear to give a better sense of space. But the important thing to remember is that this is the same Auteur. This isn't us reinventing the Auteur sound. It's the same sound, except for with minor tweaks that I came up with through the last number of years to kind of just make the Auteur everything that it could be without changing the sound signature. It really is the same sound, just a little more evolved. The main thing to point out here is that the new Auteur has this new grill. Let me go ahead and grab this resin set that's coming out during Hot Cup Summer. You can kind of see in the grills here on this resin set that the grill has kind of a new look to it that is similar, has the same kind of French-inspired stained glass window design, except for it's just kind of evolved a little bit. If you're looking at either of these from a distance, they both look very much Auteur. The best thing to do is let's go ahead and look at the frequency response. This is diffuse field measured on my HATS rig. I will put up more measurements on zmfheadphones.com under the measurements page that have both the diffuse field measurements and the raw measurements, so you can look at them. But right here, the blue or the solid line is the original Auteur, and then the dotted line is the Auteur Classic. And you can kind of see the bass response is extremely similar, but where they start to diverge a little bit is in the mids and treble. And my main goal with the Auteur Classic was to have the mids be ever so slightly more present and lower THD, and also by altering the frequency response a little bit with that slightly stronger magnet. And overall, you can see the treble is a little less bumpy in the Auteur Classic, and we've pretty much just eliminated, having that 5 or 6K peak to where it's pretty smooth and linear in a, very slightly downsloped type pattern. All right, so let's move on and get rid of this. The blue solid line is the OG Auteur, and then the dotted red line is the Auteur Classic. Then, this peak that came in the mids there, we did a number of things to try to solve that in the original driver. and we were able, through different material changes and changing kind of the membrane pattern, getting the THD smoother in this area, whereas everything else is pretty similar. And this is kind of what makes the headphone also sound a little less strident, a little smoother, although it retains very much the character of the original Auteur. And now here's the last thing I like to look at, which is the CSDs. The main difference you can kind of see in here, the CSDs kind of even out quicker on the Classic in the lower to, the bass to mid response. Less decay right there, which is, to me just makes the bass sound a little snappier. Everything's going to sound a little bit quicker. As far as subjective sound, if you hadn't heard an Auteur before and you put these on as the Auteur Classic, you're not going to say, oh my gosh, this is a totally different headphone. Going between your original Auteur and the Auteur Classic, you are going to hear a little more sense of space, a little more resolution, a little bit tighter sound. The atrium damping system was really important in that it allowed me to pull the driver away from the ear a little bit. It is worth looking back and just going through. If you really want to know how the atrium damping system works, check out our information here. I will release a video at some point just on the atrium damping system, but this system is important to what makes the Auteur Classic sound how it does, because moving the driver away while retaining that air pressure does allow us to kind of give the Auteur Classic and bring the Auteur sound just a bit up to the next level. And so back on the website, you'll be able to upgrade the Auteur Classic from the original Auteur. When you go through this page, you'll check your options. You can get a new chassis if you want. You can put magnesium on there. You can get the new crescent strap. It's important to remember though, what is included is the new drivers, the baffle, the damping system. We're going to put Titan mesh on there. We're going to replace your driver grills if needed, as we do have the new injection molded version, where some of the early versions of the Auteur may have that 3D printed version we used to use. And that lifetime warranty, I do think, is important. It's a big benefit to sending your headphone in, and you're going to get it back from us, and you'll know that we've looked at everything and made sure that headphone is up to par and a-okay. Other thing is, this year, when you put this in your cart, you're going to pay 50% up front. And then, as stated down here, we'll send you an email. You'll send the headphone in to us, and then we'll send you another email when it's done with the balance payment. All right. I think that just about covers everything. We're really excited for the Auteur Classic. It's it's going to be a really great continuing tradition of ZMF, and thanks so much for watching the Auteur Classic introduction video. Any questions, let me know. Subscribe to our channel, and send us an email if anything comes up, and look forward to you trying out the new Auteur Classic.